Roommate. Sunday was the best day to approach Mrs. Duncan. She was always cordial on Sundays. No matter what transpired in a week, no matter what her opinion of Will, which changed from week to week, she abstained from fixed opinions on Sundays. Though, as he knocked lightly on her door, he knew each passing week had put him further from the pleasant graces of her company, her tea, and her parlor. Yes, a slight and tenuous voice sounded from the depths of the parlor. It's me, Will, Mrs. Duncan. The door opened slowly after a brief time in the vestibule, and Mrs. Duncan emerged in a bright print dress. Her long red hair was out of its usual bun, resting on her shoulders. It was an odd sight for Will. Yes, Will. He smiled and held the smile for several seconds, which seemed like an eternity in the vestibule, in the hope that she might invite him into the more relaxed environment of the parlor. He thought that the more time he had to talk to her and the more relaxed the circumstances, the better was his chance of dropping his query in the most casual of ways. She made no overture towards tea in the parlor, and he realized he was going to have to wing it from the vestibule. Hello, Mrs. Duncan. How are you? I'm quite well, Mr. Tobe. Thank you for asking. That's nice. Anything new? No. Same here, Mrs. Duncan. Just one day at a time, I guess. Yes. Yes, well, it's about the room, Mrs. Duncan. Is there anything wrong? Quite the contrary, Mrs. Duncan. Everything is fine, just fine. It's the vacant room I'd like to talk to you about. I was wondering if you were planning on renting it out again. It has crossed my mind, yes, Mr. Tobe. I just have to get around to placing the advertisement. I dislike the process, so the people knocking on the door, the phone calls. Will smiled and nodded. Well, that's just why I wanted to talk to you, Mrs. Duncan. I have a friend, a very, very nice young man. He's new in town, and he's looking for a place to stay. A friend of yours, Will? Yes, we went to school together. I see. He's from Ottawa, then. Campbellford. Originally Campbellford. Where is that? East of Toronto, a small town. Well, you have your friend come by and see me tomorrow, Will. Well, he works very awkward hours, Mrs. Duncan. He's entrusted me with the task of finding him a place. He did the same for me in Ottawa. What does he do? He's in city planning. Does he smoke? No, I don't believe he does. Will knew that despite what she thought of him, her options were limited when it came to renting in the West End of Toronto. All right, Will. If he's a friend of yours, he can take the room. Wonderful. Will walked 3 houses over and into the basement hall of Patty's place. Patty's door was open. He was sitting in the love seat, smoking a cigarette. The television was off. There was no music. King was sleeping on the floor. It's okay for Cobb to move in, Will said through the door. Patty snapped out of his stupor and invited Will in with a gesture, but Will stayed in the doorframe. You're such a sweetheart, Patty said. You spoil me. Cobb is really going to appreciate this. It's important that people like him get to know people like you. It helps them break their patterns. It's simple compassion like this that changes the world, Will. Not all the fancy experts and professionals like me. It's people who make the difference. Normal people who don't judge them and who just, all right, Jesus, I get it, Patty. End of chapter.